This window is pristine on the inside, unlike the one next to it. Light from the desk lamp reflects off the glass in an untarnished golden halo. Golden light melts away into the blue, glassy darkness of your mind. In it are two neon-lit shapes, a man and a woman on the single bed. Like the witness said, the man is kneeling, the woman is on her back. It's the night of March 4th and a shot has just been fired. The man looks directly at the woman. The shot's possible directions converge in his mouth, a ray cast from somewhere outside, entering his brain, ending him. From the roof outside, location A prime, the glass fractures around the bullet hole, shards face inwards like a corona behind the woman's back. The man does not know the bullet has entered his brain. He never will. Death comes faster than the realization. The ray cast from the man's mouth unravels into a fan of possible directions, all on the roof at first. The shot could have come from any of them. This is composite location A prime, most likely of the origin points. There could have been. Then the rain and slush and wind washed it away. This was more than a week ago. 72%, with a weapon that's good for medium range, like a rifle or sports pistol. This is a good short distance, but not too short. The perpetrator aimed with their back against the railing, or possibly kneeling for precision. This would explain why it only took them one shot. The lights were on in here. Outside it was dark. It was like shooting fish in an aquarium, a well-lit aquarium. The victim opened his mouth to let the bullet in. Neither of them would have seen anything outside in the darkness, too busy with their own bodies. Point X would contradict the woman's testimony, rendering the entire proposition void. These figures would be wiped out, detective. None that you've found thus far, but that doesn't mean there aren't any. That's a 28%, yes. In this model, the shot could have come from a greater distance. Nothing excludes the possibility. Should we extrapolate to include every possible point of origin in Martinez? According to your map of the district, this shot could have come from a wide angle of locations, starting with the northern edge of the abandoned boardwalk, ending with an islet in the bay. Let's call them B prime. B prime for boardwalk, B double prime for Land's End, and B triple prime for the islet, detective. There may be smaller points in between, but those are too fine to zoom in on. 700 meters away, the likeliest of these B positions, 20% chance. A skilled sniper could have made the shot, provided he had a safe sniper's nest. Even with the light on inside, we're talking military training. At that distance, the perpetrator would have had to take wind direction into account. 1.2 kilometers away, the least likely of these positions, let's say 3%. A truly skilled sniper could have done it, possibly from a tent. No, too far-fetched. 1 kilometer away, a point beyond the docks, on an islet in the bay. The fort is ruined, but the perpetrator may have found a stable spot on the beaches surrounding it, where the concrete crumbles into the sea, as you saw in the coin-operated viewer. The shot would have been a small miracle, 5% likelihood. There is an extremely narrow field of view from the bay to the window, between Rue de Saint-Ghislain 10 and 33A. The angle would have been extreme, and access to the islets is questionable.
From where, precisely? I see you have given this a lot of thought. Are those the locations you've singled out in addition to the roof? And what is the likelihood, in your opinion, that it came from a further distance? Okay, well, we should see if there is gunshot residue or sniper nests if we go down the coast. Rule these spots out one by one. It would be the diligent thing to do. Until then, personally, I'm going with the roof version. A simple hypothesis can be wrong, but it's something to build on.
The bear's eyes are still glowing red. It's guarding over the freezing corpse hidden inside its belly. Your arms reach out and your eyes close, as if by their own volition. It's dark all around. You feel cold, slippery flesh, first with your fingertips, then under the palm of your hand. His face, his cheeks, his nose, his fat, swollen lips. Like a spider, your hand crawls over his features. Everything is silent. The oral cavity is cold and moist. A ball-like tongue attaches itself to the base of the mouth, lolling around like a scallop. You're on the right track. The tongue moves freely in the cavity. The mucus of the mouth is slippery, delicate to touch. From the soft meat, teeth are budding. Hard pearls of bone in the gums and in the back of the mouth. Can you feel it? You're so close. Rip his jaws open now. Look in. A vision of black and dark red death, pried open by your naked hands and studded with teeth. Looks like he's laughing. Death fumes rising from the throat, and there, in the back of his mouth, above the bell of the uvula, right in the soft palate, you see a hole, barely visible to the human eye. It is swollen shut, almost vanished. No larger than 0.4 centimeters in radius, the edges appear darkened. An abrasion collar. This is what we're after.
Abrasion collar.
A black trickle of liquid runs into his throat from the wound. Your index fits right in there. A tight tunnel of flesh opens up. Tissue damage. Wide enough for 2 fingers. As you push both in, you reach through his mouth, right into his brain stem. Yes, that's what this part is called. The basal ganglia feels clumpy. The bullet has torn apart his reptilian complex. This man will never sleep again, never wake. Your fingers slide into the remains of his limbic system. There is no resistance. It's gelatinous. The slug-like structures are damaged too. The tearing extends deep into both hemispheres. The lieutenant answers with the sound of his pen on paper. Your fingers are all the way in now, reaching toward the inside of his skull. The cavity goes further, but the entry wound isn't wide enough for the rest of your hand to follow. Your fingers reach toward his skull. His cerebral cortex feels like jelly. Cold jelly. Strange fluid streams down your wrist as you push deeper until you feel it on the tip of your finger. Sharp, serrated material. The edges cut right into your skin. This must be the bullet. The pain is barely noticeable under the adrenaline rush. You pick the sharp metal bullet between your index and middle finger. With your face twisting from pain and concentration, all you need to do is just...
Good.
The inside of the head feels cold and smooth, like a glove. Sweat dripping down your brow. Careful not to lose the prize between your fingers. With a plop, your hand emerges from the mouth, covered in blood up to the wrist. Between your fingers, a small flower, a blossom made of lead.
A bullet.
The bullet falls in the bag, leaving a smattering of blood on the plastic. He raises the bag under his eyes and says,
A non-caliber. Rifle. Some kind of brittle alloy. Fractured on impact. No, you deserve it. We can log it later. We need to add an item to the injury list. Injury number 4. Oval entry wound with an abrasion collar. Soft palate, back of mouth. High velocity, temporary cavity in brain tissue, small exit wound on the occiput. How does that sound? Opinion, fatal injury. And one last thing. We should demand injury number 3, ligament mark. Treatment. It's obvious the Hardy Boys tampered with it. I had my doubts. There were no signs of a struggle on his hands, no claw marks on his neck. But still.
His brow furrows while his eyes glaze over. The lieutenant looks regretful for not figuring this out before.
Oh, you really do. I am glad to hear you say that. Your room in the Whirling in Rags should come with a bathroom. Be sure to make use of it in the evening. Yes, we should take a closer look at it. I am certain it has more to tell us.
This little thing could reveal much about the weapon that shot it.
We bag the corpse and carry him to the holding pen of my kinema. I can transport him to processing myself, but I will be gone for the rest of the day. Work on the case. Tend to personal matters. Try not to do anything too dangerous. An officer needs backup in a neighborhood like this. I'll leave that choice to you. And one more thing. Great work, detective.
The word lingers in the air of the basement. Far away, ice cream makers are buzzing and the sea wind blows outside. Detective.
After you bag the corpse, Lieutenant Kitsuragi will leave the party until tomorrow morning. You can do side tasks and even the main case, but it might be more difficult. Plan his exit accordingly.
The bullet is safely sealed away in a plastic bag bearing the RCM stamp. Kim has filled out the label on the bag with the item number, case number, and date and location the bullet was found. Beside his orderly handwriting, the bullet looks especially sad, like a tiny, shriveled head of cauliflower.
What? Well, if I was the bullet, which I'm not, I would say, find the weapon that shot me. If we find who owns it, we will have likely found who used it, possibly to kill our victim. In conclusion, the more we know about this bullet of yours, the better.
The squashed bullet has some sharp edges where the jacket has split open. It feels cold, even through the bag. You wouldn't ordinarily have cause to handle jacketed bullets. The citizens' militia uses cast bullets only. Little pebbles of metal loaded from the muzzle, usually in a cartridge. The jacket of the bullet is made of a yellowish metal. It has blossomed out to reveal a dark grey core. The base of the bullet is close to 5 millimeters in diameter. You can just about make out a few striations near the base of the bullet. Little hairlines, linear. It feels standard. It's quite destroyed. Some of the fragments are still lodged in the wound.
What can you say about the bullet so far? A jacketed bullet. Okay. It would have been shot from a military-grade breech-loading rifle, not from a muzzleloader like those typically found on the streets of Martinez.
We were right. This came from a serious weapon. Highly unusual. The people of Revachol haven't carried breech-loading weapons like this for nearly half a century.
Even the RCM uses ordinary unjacketed conical bullets. This is strange. Very strange. I like this, officer. Strange means unique. Unique means incriminating. We need to find the gun that shot it.
Something tells you that won't be anytime soon. This'll have to be one of those epic tasks that's open for a while. You can't remember what happened last week. What makes you think you're going to remember arcane firearm models? The bullet is still safely sealed away. You can't remember what happened last week. What makes you think? bullet is still safely sealed. A rifle, Revolutionary period. Your bullet looks to be an old 4.46 millimeter from the surplus left over from the turn of the century. Probably an antique or a retrofitted antique. The 4.46 caliber was widely used with the Belmargrave rifle, a Revacholian manufacturer. The BM dominated the battlefields of the Insulindian theater of the anti-centennial revolution 50 years ago. Incidentally, you have just such a rifle with you, the dusty old thing you found hidden in the basement below the commercial area. It's unusable, sadly. If it were, the bullet would probably fit the chamber. No, but Zeliger, a major firearm manufacturer, ended up with a surplus after the war, so there are still a lot of these old military rifles floating around, usually broken. The quality was appalling. Antiques enthusiasts, guerrilla fighters in distant countries, a few lucky jamrock bangers, you're looking for the same thing you found in that hidden weapons cache, only in working order.
What are you thinking? Bullet? Okay. And? An antique. That makes sense. There can't be many breech-loading rifles floating around in Martinez or anywhere in Ravachol, really. Sure, there's some arms trafficking, but the laws prohibiting the use of breech loaders we inherited from the monarchy have been effective, from what I've seen. Some new RCM recruits get impatient with their muzzle loaders once they've trained with military-grade weapons, but they realize it's worth it in the end.
Prohibiting peacetime law enforcement to front-loaded rifles is a policy enforced by the Moralist International in all the nations of the Real Belt.
Imagine if everyone, cops, citizens, had access to firearms that could shoot multiple rounds without pausing to reload. After the first shot, the second, third, and so on come much easier. But back to the investigation. Doesn't seem that likely, but we'll check out all possible leads. Next step, finding the gun itself.
The trap is full of locusts, but they seem weak and unhealthy. A few lie on their backs with their legs twitching. Still, no phasmid. There's some tear. A few locusts trudge along the wall of the trap. The rest are piled in a heap in the corner, dead. No phasmid anywhere. The trap is filled with dead and dying locusts. Most of them aren't moving anymore. You still can't see a phasmid anywhere. See that seagull up there? Remind you of anybody? What? Kin? No, it's you. You and the seagull are just alike. Think about the seagull's story. It's one of endurance and adaptation. The seaside was paradise once. They were birds of that paradise. Then their paradise became shit city. And what did they do? They became urban survivors, eating burgers out of trash cans, killing and eating pigeons. No time for that sentimental bullshit. They're hustlers, getting shit done. They're one pair of track pants away from gangsters, just like you. You have. The body remembers. Own it. Steal hot dogs, shit in the sand, whatever it takes to keep going. Just dead and dying locusts and the slow swaying of surrounding reeds. Is there something here that would indicate a sniper used this place as a nest for taking the shot? Just some urban detritus, a bottle, and a dilapidated old comms tower.
I don't see it, Lieutenant W. Freitor. I don't see a person take a shot here and hit something there, in the whirling in rags. Those? A smoking assailant who favors Tumutiri to Astra or Joan? Cigarette butts are everywhere. This is a common brand for all men.
Still, you felt it was important enough to make a mental note. That means something. You didn't pay attention to any of the other cigarette butts on the coast.
To warm his hands before pulling the trigger? Perhaps, but anyone could have made this. The coast is specked with fires this time of year. Truthfully, this seems like a very poor choice to take a 1.2-kilometer rifle shot from. Visibility is awful. There's water vapor everywhere. I think we can rule out biddable prime, was it? It's not possible to climb that ladder, and even if it were, why? There's no platform up there to aim from.
There, 1.2 kilometers over the cold water of the bay, through a thick snowstorm melting flake by flake in the waves, you see the smallest rectangle, barely visible. A glowing light on the third floor of the whirling in rags. With binoculars, you would see a young woman's shape move behind the glass, her limbs long and slender.
The waves are beginning to die down. Look at those little bastards. Simmer down. Simmer down, bastards.
Why does she care about the waves so much?
What is it with waves and fishermen? We need to be out there with them, fishing, making a living. So I asked them to accommodate me. But until that happens, I can try to assist you the best I can. So, what will it be, officer? Oh, that's good to know, I guess. Why is it in the sea? This calls for a funeral, if you ask me. Aye. Feels deserved, don't you think? Falling in the line of duty like that and all. Why odd? Our things are a part of our life world. They're made with our human sweat and they share human history. We should care about them as we care about humans. To some extent, at least.
Life world? Someone's been reading up on last century Gotwaldian philosophers. Play it cool now.
Oh yeah? You won't even be able to get it out of the water before early June. And where are you going to bury it? Who to invite? What music to play at the wake? Take it from someone who's been through a few funerals. It's easiest to just leave them there and let nature take care of it.
That's all we have time for right now anyway. Come back here in June and see how you feel about it then. It's not like it's going anywhere. Yes, that is a pity. But for now, let's focus on the things we do get to do. Like the murder investigation, for example.
Oh? Who? Well, how can I assist you then, officer? You're back. Good. What can I help you with? What would you like to know? Good. Of course. Anything to help. I am sorry to have been the bearer of bad news. If there is anything else I can help you with, please ask.
Special thanks to my patrons, Justin Wood, Hobbs, Koopy Vegeta, Gunrunner and Bat. You can join my patrons at patreon.com/HoldenGatsby, follow me on Twitter at HoldenGatsby, and follow my Twitch at twitch.tv/HoldenGatsby. Don't forget to subscribe to both of my channels. Thanks for watching, bye.